Hi again. John Karel von Baalen in chapter 6 of his book Chaos of Cults, Rosicrucianism. Rosicrucianism is powerful in California, headquarters of so many false cults. This is written and edited in 1962, by the way. From Oceanside, the widow of Max Heindel, late apostle of modern Rosicrucianism, sends forth the copyrighted reprints of her husband's profound and voluminous tomes. That is, books entitled The Rosicrucian Cosmo-Conception, or Mystic Christianity, which is 606 pages, The Rosicrucian Philosophy in Questions and Answers, 426 pages, and The Rosicrucian Christianity Lectures, 347 pages, and also numerous pamphlets and correspondence courses. There may be some small comfort in the knowledge that the Rosicrucians, too, are divided against one another. The lady who sold me the books informed me that the Amorc, that is the official title of the original mother organization, AMORC acronym, have lost their title to the name Rosicrucians because, she said, they commercialize religion, whereas we only charge for the books. And then he has a footnote about their status and where they are found in places like Seattle back in the 1960s. He says, on the third floor of the Arcade building in Seattle, the average Christian worker may receive an eye-opener. Rosicrucians, Bahais, the Unity School of Religion, astrologists, spiritists, all have their studios. And each studio has not only a rack or a bookcase with literature, but there are chairs, which are arranged in classroom fashion. The cultists are evidently of the opinion that religion can be taught. Had the evangelical churches done more doctrinal teaching, there would be today fewer victims of all these strange cults. And this supplies, of course, part of the backdrop to his most famous quotation, that is von Baalen's most famous quotation, which is that the cults are the unpaid bills of the church. He goes on about this person at the headquarters in Seattle who talked to him. She also informed me that she had been a member of the Mother Church for 25 years prior to joining the Rosicrucian Fellowship, but made the change because here truth is taught so much more clearly. End of quote. This is at once suggests that Rosicrucianism and Christian Science are related, and they are, as all forms of pantheism are related. Approaching Rosicrucianism more closely, however, we soon discover that it far more intimately resembles Theosophy. In fact, Rosicrucianism admits being, quote, the Western teaching given to the Western people at this time for their advancement. If we take Theosophy as meaning Theosophia, or Theosophia, that is divine wisdom, then of course the Rosicrucian philosophy is only part of that divine wisdom, like all other religious systems. But if we take Theosophy to mean the philosophy promulgated by the Theosophical Society or societies, for there are several brands, then we may say that the Rosicrucian teaching is much more comprehensive and complete. That's all a quote from their own literature. Von Baalen says, besides, Rosicrucianism is opposed to the arrogant attitude of Theosophy in regard to other systems that also have the idea of universal brotherhood at heart. And another quote here, it is not necessary to be a theosophist in order to follow that object, but it is necessary to be an occultist in order to follow the third object of the Theosophical Society, namely the study of the unexplained laws of nature and the powers latent in man. End of quote. The Theosophical Society is simply an exoteric organization. And von Baalen inserts into the quote, I wonder how the Theosophists like that exoteric. End of quote of von Baalen. Back to their quote, that is the Rosicrucians, for the dissemination of a certain philosophy mostly derived from the Eastern religions, while the Rosicrucian Fellowship aims to promulgate the teachings of the Western Mystery School, the Order of Rosicrucians, which is secret and not accessible to anyone except upon direct invitation. That's all a quote from the Rosicrucian Philosophy by Mr. Max Heindel. Von Baalen says, I believe if I were to choose between the two, I'd choose Rosicrucianism. From a purely philosophical viewpoint, it seems to me the more acceptable of the two. It does not believe in karma, but holds that though every ego is reincarnated many times, each individual birth brings one into the world innocent, because the evil has been purged away. Yet one is born with certain tendencies, which may develop into vices. Therefore, we must be tried to see whether we will develop virtue. And I would prefer Rosicrucianism to Christian Science from a medico-religious viewpoint, because all according to the nature of the malady and the bias of the patient, I should be allowed to choose between employing a Christian Science practitioner, a faith healer of some other brand, that is, as they put it, materia medica, used in conjunction with astrology, or even be permitted to, quote, attempt to cure the ills from which we suffer in any other way possible than appeals to us. That appeals to us. Von Baalen continues, however, as a Christian, I need not choose between Theosophy and Rosicrucianism, but may have the clear and sufficient teachings of the Scriptures, which leave enough unexplained as to the manner of Christ's return and the hereafter for faith to be satisfied for the time being without sight. And so there is no need of the ill-founded vagaries of the occult. And here, perhaps, we touch upon the fundamental fruit of the Rosicrucian philosophy. There is literally nothing these people cannot and do not explain. One marvels at the patient digging and the interminable babbling that produces a never-ending stream of facts and subjects, all fitting neatly within the confines of this all-absorbing system. And of course, there is no argument against information that obtains from the occult source. If you do not believe it, you simply are on the outside. Next time, he explains the nature of the name, Rosicrucian, the Rose Cross. I'll put in a link to 5 characteristics of cultic groups in general. And the series is called Slaves of Men. This is the first video of, I think it is 3. They're connected. See you next time.